play your cards right. I'm so excited because I have two wonderful guests. Well, two couples, four guests. A happy Sunday. Again, this is the platform to empower. So today's episode is the first live, streaming live both on Facebook and YouTube. Why did I get married? Okay. So first and foremost, time is valuable. So I appreciate your time and energy this afternoon. Please introduce yourselves, starting with my parents at the bottom. Introduce yourselves and tell everyone how long you've been married.
You go, bro.
Okay. All right. Althea Belton. 27 years. We've been married 27 years. That's 47 because we've been together 47 years. 27 years. Mm-hmm.
And my name is Tony Belton, and the same, 27 years.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome, Ginger and David. Next.
Hold on 1 second.
You want to go ahead, baby? Go ahead.
Well, my name is Ginger DeBose, and we've been married for going on, 4 years. We'll say 4 years. And this is... I'm sorry, it's 4 years.
Yes.
4 years?
I'm David DeBose. We've been married for 4 years. We've known each other for 8. So, yeah.
All right, so here are player cards, right? We like to start with a game, which is like an icebreaker to get everyone comfortable, shake off the nerves a little bit. So before you guys appeared on the live, I asked you to come prepared with a piece of paper and a pen. So you have separate pieces of paper and pen?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So you all heard of the Blackstreet classic Happy Home, which I played for us before the live started.
Mm-hmm.
What I want each person individually to do is to write down 3 attributes needed to create a happy home, but don't show each other the answers. And whichever couple lands the closest answers will receive a gift from me, a little massage oil from Sade Cosmetics, whom I had on last week. So I'll give you 29 seconds, right? It's 29 days in February. And I'm sorry. I'll start the countdown. So you only have 29 seconds to write down the answers. Any questions before we start writing?
I'm done. I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh, let me see.
So the game is Happy Home. You ready, Daddy?
Right?
Mommy and Daddy, are you ready?
Yes. Each
Althea
person
and
has to
Tony.
write 4.
You said 3.
3 answers.
I did.
All right. So you're going to grab a piece of pen and paper. Each person individually write down 3 attributes or 3 qualities it takes to create a happy home. And whichever couple lands the answers that are closest to one another will receive a gift from me, a massage oil from Sade Cosmetics. You ready? The countdown.
Oh, awesome.
29 seconds. Why is that? Cancel. Start. All right, 29 seconds. No music.
I'm ready.
We
No music. Wanda, you ready?
Let's go.
Yeah, we ready?
All right, let's go. Let's get it.
They
All right,
veterans. They have this.
Stacey and Ginger, read your answers individually, one at a time.
God, love, and respect.
Okay, God.
I'll put love. All right. You ready for me?
Yes.
I'll put love, understanding, and trust.
Ooh. Mm.
We
You
got
have a
one
little
is right.
competition, Ginger. All right, so God, and respect
Understanding.
for Ginger. God, love,
That's
and
what's
respect,
love.
right? And then
Yeah.
you was God, trust, and understanding.
No.
So repeat it.
Trust, love, and understanding.
Trust, love, and understanding. So love, you two guys
Yes.
agree. Obviously, love. So that's 1 and 1. Let's go, Mind Dad.
Okay. Communication, patience, and love.
Love. Okay, we all agree you need some love in there for a happy home. Okay.
Okay.
Daddy?
Yeah, my first two weren't single words. So the first one was understand that your spouse is not perfect.
Understand.
And also, too, the second one is learn to love what you dislike the most.
Ooh.
And the third is
Good way to put it.
The third is what?
Forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, David. You said you love the way he put it. Expound on that. You could talk a little more about it. It's a conversation.
I mean, the way he said it, I can understand where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? Love your mate flaws. You know what I mean? Know that they're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, once you get past that and realize that everybody's not perfect, and you realize that you have to show compassion, because you know what? It's the flaws is what attract you to that person. You know, because you want the person to be perfect. So you have to understand you got to be the other end and make them perfect. You know, even if you disagree. You know, my wife disagrees with me 24/7. So I'm far from being perfect, you know.
Right. So understanding that you need that balance. That was well put. I love that.
Yes.
Thank you. Daddy and Ma, you have anything to say towards that?
Yeah. I love also, of course, putting God first. What Ginger said, and what he's saying also is compromising. Compromise. You have to compromise. It's no one way street. So and that's where communication comes in, where we have to compromise because we come in two different people and two different perspectives, and so that is going to God join us as one to try to make us one. So it's going to be work to do that for two people to become one. So it's a lot of compromise to try to get two people to one to think as one.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And like no, I'm sorry, Des, I'm listening.
No, go first.
And like my wife said, you know, what should have been at the top, God. That's what really made our marriage and still the deal. But these are things that I learned, trial and error. I had to make a lot of mistakes, but these are things that I learned. And then I said, okay, that's what I'm going to implement in my marriage. You know, you don't know until you're in it. And then when you're in it, you hear things and you grow, you know. But I'm just going to say this and shut up. There was a comedian who said the girl wanted to leave her husband. She wanted to leave her husband, and because he didn't pay bills. And then they said, so then she dated somebody else, and then she not only did the guy didn't pay bills, but he gave her black eyes. So you never know what you're gonna get down the road. So you gotta keep what you got. At least you know what you got, you know, and work on it.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Yeah. Grass is not always greener on the other side.
There you go.
Mhm.
So I love that all of you, what you both share in common is love is a grounding common factor. So you both will receive the oils. If the Sade Cosmetic, which is a body oil and a massage oil, and let's continue this conversation. I know you like massages, Gingerbread.
I love them. I used to have someone come to the house and privately, and then now since we moved far away, my used to come when I lived in Richmond, but since we moved now, I rely on David. So he told her he would pay her to come down here in 2 hours.
Yeah, your father likes
Yeah, yes, I know you give personal massage.
He said that's a good.
Oh my
God! Mommy is the person in the shoes. Okay. All right. So on to the next. Let's talk about. You already spoke on how long you've been married. So reiterate that, but let's get into more detail. Where and when did you meet? Ginger and David, start with you. Where and when did you meet? Paint the picture for us.
Okay, so we met at David's job. My girlfriend, I had a friend who was a nurse, and she was like, let's go to my brother's job. She's a nurse, and she was like, let's go to my brother's job. And I was like, okay. So we got there, and I'd be acting all stank. So we go in his store. He was a manager for this shoe store. And I don't know nothing about no shoes. So she's talking to him, but he was looking me up and down. I was like, why is he looking at me like that? Like, and then she was like, stop my dirty. And then when we like, girl, he is cute. And she was like, ew, no. And I was like, I think I'm gonna buy him some chicken. Cause I so I was like, I went to the Chinese food stuff. And the plaza had these wings that were really good. So me and my girlfriend went back with the chicken, and I took one of his wings that I always was stealing the food. And I said, and I want a chicken. And then he was like, tell her to call me.
So when you brought him back, I went without him knowing you, right? So you offered him chicken and you bought him chicken. So you fed him before you started even dating him?
No, right? He didn't know. He didn't know that the chicken was coming.
Yes, thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. Yes. Wow, ladies, you have to step it up. That's how you have a husband, okay?
With the food.
David,
but if I went back for him. I always tell him, if I don't know, I know we would have crossed paths, but I went back. Okay. I doubled back.
Look, my thing is, if we're in the same circle, we're just going to meet eventually. What's the difference? You circle back, or I would have came and got you later. Which one you want?
Ooh, I like that.
So I mean, it was a matter of time. Her best friend I'm best friends with her husband. Like, on now, it was eventually I was gonna see you. It wasn't that you weren't gonna see me.
Girlfriend's husband.
Yeah. Well, I knew them longer than her. It's just that we never met each other. I didn't know about her until she came by my store, pick up my nieces and nephews some shoes and stuff. So.
Wow,
it was a lot of time. She just rushed it real quick. That's all.
You met him before you started dating. That's how you catch a husband. All right, mommy and daddy, where and when did you first meet?
Okay.
What year did you guys meet? Let's talk about that. Yeah, David and Ginger, what year did you meet?
Oh man.
Jeez.
Years ago?
Yeah, so
like about 8 years ago.
So you talking about like
8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
2013.
2013, yeah, because I had just started.
No,
2012. No, because I had
14,
just. Yeah, because I've just started nursing. I had just started that job. It was after I got my business.
So the teens and the
14,
teens of the millennials. Perfect. So mom and dad, what year did you meet? Start with the year if you can. And then talk about where and when you met, like location, etc.
Sweetheart, you sure you don't want to go first? It's okay.
He must
No,
forget. Okay, I'll do
okay. But I want to be respectful, ladies first. But if you want, sure. Okay, so this is the deal.
I like your dad.
Me and my wife, we came from a time when it was different. We were actually grown before our time. You know, there's a book called Man, Child in the Promised Land. And every African American should read that book because basically you have to become a man or a woman at a young age, being raised in the real ghetto. So we both came from broken homes. The ghetto was off the hook. It's kindergarten now compared to what it was when we were coming up. So we were both 13 years old. And a friend of ours, may he rest in peace, he was killed at the age of 23 in Baltimore selling drugs.
Wow.
He told me, I got somebody who want to meet you. I said, who? He said, her name is Edie. I said, okay. So I met her, and my wife was her best friend. And my best friend, we double dated. And back then, we were drinking beer, smoking weed, having a good time. Then we did this maybe for a couple of weeks straight, the four of us. Then one day, he didn't show up, and Edie didn't show up, but me and my wife showed up. And so we got high, and then we said, do we like each other? And that's how it started. So,
That's right, Daddy. That's what we want: real and uncut, raw stories. Thank you for that. And I know the story, but I didn't know that you were gonna tell everyone else the story. So I appreciate it. But I have
so he does remember.
Yeah. Right. So what year was it? And just for the people who are listening, which ghetto are you referring to? Because you said you guys were from
169th Street and 3rd Avenue is where I live. And my wife lived on 170th and Washington Avenue. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you weren't tough, you didn't make it there, and that's for real. Real talk.
You have anything to say, or shall we?
Yeah. So that yes, it was me growing up with 7 brothers too, which was. I was like a tomboy. So I remember liking him in different occasions, before that happened.
Before we knew each other.
Before we actually knew each
Seeing
other.
me from a distance.
Seeing him from a distance. Also, I was the captain of my basketball team. So he was very good in basketball, along with Timothy, another young.
He lived on Franklin Avenue, man.
Yeah. And so I was with my friends, and we was looking at them play basketball, and I said the one that wins is going to be my boyfriend.
So that's your version. Okay, come through with your other version, come through.
On the b-ball, though.
It was the one who won is going to be my man for me.
Yeah, so he had the fly moves. and and he knew how to shake and bake back then. That's what we called it. And he won. So yeah, and the ironic thing when we got together, stuff I used to tell him I used to see you on the train, on the L train. It was an L train on 3rd Avenue during that time, which is not there anymore. And I used to just say, "Oh, you remind me of Michael Jackson." Ooh. And that's what I used to do. Look, he would be coming from his grandmother's downtown in Manhattan, and I'd be coming uptown, whatever. Different. We would just I saw him a couple of times on the train. And it was so ironic that we finally had years later, this was when we was riding the train. Like he said, we was grown.
Yeah, I was on the train
10, 11 years old on the train, right?
And the train looked different in the 70s. Ginger, graffiti, the train looked scary in the 70s. Yeah. And they were riding the train at 9 and 10 alone.
Yeah, but when I like I said, I was raised with 7 boys, brothers. I was like a tomboy at that time myself, and I didn't, I guess they taught me. I had one brother was a black belt, taught me karate and all that. So I was fearless at that time. I'm more feared now than then. But
Mother, I would also add, it's safe to say it was a different era. So it wasn't like abnormal for a 9, 10, 11-year-old to travel alone,
Right.
It wasn't abnormal.
Yeah. Right. But being raised by a single mom. So, and brothers.
Thank you. Those are awesome stories. I have people in the comments saying, the tea, honey, the tea. So this question is for the husbands. Did you know the woman that you're sitting next to was your wife when you first met, right? So lately I've been hearing this narrative surrounding marriage, specifically involving men who admit, when I first met my woman, I knew I wanted her to be my wife, right? So I wonder, does that pertain to you?
I already know what he's gonna say. I know what he's gonna say. I already know what he's gonna say. I'm not even going. I know.
All right. So whoever wants to start first, I give you the floor. Well, and out of Daddy and David, did you know she was your wife when you met her?
You can go, Dave.
You say you can go. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna be upset because I already know David's rules. So
too many girls.
Okay. So we keep it real here. All right, so
this is real.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
No, when I met my wife, I didn't know she was gonna be my wife. No.
Okay.
First off, I have a 3-year rule.
Look, I wrote it down. Because I knew he was gonna say it. I wrote down. I knew what he was gonna say. I could have finished his sentence. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a 3-year rule. I feel like as I was growing up, my mother told me that it takes 3 years to get to know a person. In 3 years, you should really know if you want to be with that person for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? So I stuck by that rule like my whole life. So you have 3 years to basically convince me that you're going to be the woman of my life. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I took it.
I hear you.
That's what I thought then. I was young. But,
the
3 years that I spent with Ginger at the beginning was like, it was amazing. See, I was a single father. So, when she came into the picture, it really, how can I say, like, it brought something that I wanted for the longest for me and my son. So, when she came into my life, it was like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? Because she came in, she just knew what to do. It's like she just fit with my family. You know what I mean? And she was already driven. She was already successful. And what more could you have asked for? And then, in 3 years, I wasn't mad at her. When I need to reevaluate the situation because the situation ain't right. No, it's like if I leave, relationship, it wouldn't have been beneficial for me because I probably wouldn't have grown as much as I have now. You know, I'm totally different from the man I was at 8. So I could truly say, like, me and her has been a blessing in my life that, you know, I changed a lot. You know, stop being so stubborn. But yeah, no, I didn't know she was gonna be my wife.
Okay, so 3-year rule. I've never heard it. Every day you learn something different. Daddy?
Yeah, well, you know, once again, we were so young, you know, yeah, we were so young, but we were ahead of our time in terms of maturity, to be perfectly honest. But you know, I never forget a couple of weeks after me and my wife started dating, the guy who she used to date, which was my friend, I said, man, you messed up, man. You messed up. You lost, man. You know? And I'll be honest with you. I was so happy with my wife. She was my world. And as time went on, it's like this, real talk. You know that saying, ride or die? My wife was ride or is and will always be ride or die. There was something about us that just clicked. And I always knew, and even though I was ignorant, young, immature, didn't have a concept of God, I always knew she was the one. I always knew that. So, and then as years went by, it was very interesting. In most cases, the woman wants to marry before the man. And I always told her when she started encouraging us to get married, I said, but no, I don't want you to ever say I shouldn't have married you. You know, I want to make sure I'm right. But you know what happened? She gave me an ultimatum. She said, we get married or it's over. And I did what I had to do. Real talk, real talk. Yeah,
but Daddy, I think
we were like 32, 33.
Right. Daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy, I would like you to add context to the viewers and the listeners. It was a long over 15 years you guys waited because you met at 13.
Yeah.
Had Tone at 16, had me at 27, and you guys still weren't married, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it was 20 years when we got married. It was 20 years in.
Yeah, so
20 years in.
She paid way dues. She put some dues in. Yeah, 15. Bro, you bet. Hey, man, it's a long time, bro.
So at that time, I was challenged because someone studied the Bible with me. And they was like, you know, you living in sin. I said, well, I'm engaged. I got 2 kids by them. That's not the same. They challenged me and said, listen, God wants you to make this sacred. And I would use the excuse, well, he said he don't believe in that piece of paper. That just a piece of paper that the man made up. But we still, you know, good. You know, they just want to know, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, really? I said, okay. Well, that piece of paper don't work. I was like, okay, we ain't going to work. I said, we going to do it by the piece of paper. And also, I just wanted to make sure I was being obedient to, I always knew that was something, you know, special about it and sacred about it. But when I was sat down and showed in the Word of God, you know, about it, it really cut my heart to want to be obedient to what God wanted. And that I thought that once we were married, that God would bless it even more, you know, because we being obedient to what He wants us to do.
Awesome. I think that's a perfect segue. How do you 2 couples feel about the narrative surrounding marriage being a legal bind and really not significant in regards to how you express your love for a significant other?
I could start because everybody has a perception of what marriage is. There is no rule book. There is no guideline. There is no, except for the rule book is of God, of course, because, you know, you can't force something. If you force it and it's not by God, then it's not going to work. But is that, and my dad told me, you know, who told you this perception? Because as a young girl, you look at, oh, I want to be married, I want to wear my dress, I'm going to walk down the aisle. But that wedding's like maybe an hour. Like, we had a nice big wedding, and it was beautiful pictures to look at. The wedding is a day. The marriage is a commitment. It is a something you work on it every day. Like, every day is a new gift, just like life. So, and you think that you are always doing right there, like, well, I'm the best wife in the world, or I'm the best husband in the world. But you need to, like your mom said, communication is the key, and knowing and understanding will help you be the better person. I don't think it's a legal. You said what was the word you used?
A legal bind.
A legal binding. It's not a legal bond. It's just, it, to me, it's a commitment between each other. And you know what God puts together, no man can take apart. And it's not a legal bond. It's in the word. Like your mother says, it is the ordinance. You can't live on a fence and follow one thing and follow something else.
Right.
So either you're going to live by this or you're not. And we're not perfect. No, by far. No, but it, to me, it's a legal bond. I don't consider it that.
I look at it like this, right? If you look at marriage as a legal bond, do you look at your kids as a legal bond? You know what I'm saying? Like, the system dictates, if you and your mate, or who you had a child by, is not together, that, oh, well, this person get this and this person get that. But in actuality, between the father and the mother, what actuality should happen with that kid and how that kid should be raised, not that system. Now, the system steps in when somebody's being immature, you know, of course, just like in marriage, you know, they put that paperwork in a play because they want you playing with something like that. You know what I mean? So, okay, I tell this woman I want to marry you, and then 2 months later, I don't want to be married. I just want to marry you because I just want to. Come on now. So you're playing. You're playing with something that's sacred. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I take it. Like, I don't look at it as a legal bond. I look at it as a commitment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm committed to my wife, mind, body, and soul. You know what I'm saying? Like, should nobody be able to take that away from her? You know what I'm saying? Should nobody be able to take my attention away? Should nobody be able to take my love away? Should nobody be able to take me away physically from my wife? And what I mean by physically, yeah, you got men out there who cheat, and they might sleep with a woman there and there. But when you let that woman into your life and let that woman into your soul, you like, oh yeah, you're my all. That's something totally different. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they tell you not to leave another person, because that's your soul intertwining with somebody else. When you do stuff like that, that's crazy. And that could twist you up emotionally and physically. You know what I'm saying? And I could contest to some of that. You know what I mean? So, you know, when I look at my wife and I tell her that I love her unconditionally, now, that's something I really mean, because I know what that means. You know what I mean? Because when you take things for granted, I mean, you could lose everything. You know what I'm saying? And when you realize what you have, just like your mom and your dad, you know what I'm saying? She came to him and said, hey, I need this. I want this. Can you give me this? This is all I asked for. And he stepped back. 15 years. He stepped back and was like, you got it.
And I do need to interject, because you do need it, because God forbid decisions need to be made, something happens. You know, my father passed away recently, and no, I'm just saying, as far as a legal binding, as far as that, you spend your time with someone, and you spend years with them. But the system, the way the system is set up, if you don't have that, know this person from A to Z, but I could walk in the hospital and who are you? What are you to this? But I've cared for you every day. I've loved you every day. I've took care of you every day. But then the government or the world tells me your name is not on this, so you can't tell me X, Y, and Z.
No right.
Right. No right.
I love that. I love those examples. I love those examples. Thank you for like providing more insight. Ma, you had something to say?
No, I'm just agreeing with that because that's what I was going to say. You know, to her point, you know, I was thinking that before she said it. Yeah, that even though, like I was saying earlier, that your father was saying it was just a piece of paper. In society, that paper means so much in where you at in your relationship with your family. That what privileges you have, I should say, what privileges you can get. Because if you don't have that piece of paper, and that's one of the things that I hear your father telling some of his friends that he knew and stuff. I hear him saying, "Man, you missing out on a lot. If something happened to your wife or whatever, I mean your girl, you ain't gonna get nothing being together all that long." I found out, you know, that too. He's telling them that, and because we know that now, you know, sometimes, you know, people just don't understand that. Okay.
No, I think she was telling you 1 minute.
Okay.
No, I have my hand up. Finish Martin because I want to add something as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So in that respect, in legal bind in society is because you could be with someone, like I was saying, 20 years, like me and your father, and all that could be down the drain, even with 2 kids, if God forbid something would have happened to him, and I couldn't have got anything really, maybe for the kids, but that's it, not for me, you know, all my blood, sweat, and tears, and just being faithful for them 20 years, and nothing would have came out of it. But that's a good point. That's very good what she said.
I learned so much from both of your answers, but I do want to offer a different perspective. I don't like saying devil's advocate anymore. I try to cut that term out of my vocabulary, but let me offer a different perspective. I watched a 3-minute clip about NYCHA and how welfare was built and created, and how the system pushed out men and fathers out of the family in order for families to receive different services like food stamps and welfare and clothing, et cetera, especially back in the 70s and 80s. They were a little bit more micromanageable. They would visit homes, Claudine. It like if you had an iron that they felt like you could afford, you know, they can cut you off. So it was a little worse back then. So what would you guys say to the couples who may feel like or who aren't in the best financial state and may feel like they are cutting corners and manipulating the system and don't want to get married because it may cut some financial benefits or cut out access? You know, and this wasn't even a part of the questions, but this is on my heart because of the clip that I've seen. How, you know, just the government has infiltrated and pushed fathers and men out of families, specifically in the ghettos throughout the nation.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. Well, just look at the nation right now. You know, I mean, I'm a product of a single family home, and I didn't want my son to be a product of a single family home. That's why I had custody of my son, you know, and I can contest to this. Like, yeah, the government helps out single mothers, but they don't help out single fathers. I had to struggle, especially in Virginia, because it's a Commonwealth state. So they state that if you're a father who has a job and you have health insurance, regardless of how much it may cost for you to insure you and your child, by law, you have to have your child under your insurance. Meaning I can't go and take him down to the go get him some whatever assistance I can for him to have medical insurance unless I don't have a job. You know what I'm saying? So me as a black man, like what am I supposed to do? I have to take 2 or 3 jobs just to, or find that one job that have great benefits to be able to support my child if I was a single father. So nah, you know, I really strongly believe that, you know what, as far as the system goes, I mean, if you to his own, if you want to stay a part of that, then that's on you. But it is programs in there that help you get up out of that. And I feel like any man who willing to have his woman be on any assistance, you know what I'm saying, and feel comfortable with that, you're not being a father or being a man. You need to just step up and get her out of that system. At least coach her, educate herself to be able to get up out of there. So when y'all do get together, y'all be able to unify and make something stronger than what y'all had. You know what I'm saying? It don't make sense. I mean, it's one thing that I learned by being a single father. I went to school for free. As long as I found my kid on taxes, they allowed me to go to school for free, which caused me to become a welder, which now I work on the ship and welding. So, I mean, tell me if I could do that, and trust me, my background is horrible. So, you know, only thing I have good is I had a great mother. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, you can do it. I don't agree with it. I mean, like I said, people do need help, but when you taking it to the point where you taking advantage of it, you making it harder for other people. And I was one of them other people, you know what I'm saying, that went to work every day, paid 50-something hours a week, and I couldn't get not near food stamp. You know what I'm saying? They tell me, oh no, you make over $1,000 per person in your household before taxes. So you can't get food stamps. And after taxes come, it didn't represent that. That check looked real low.
So
Tell me about it.
just to piggyback off of what he says, to me,
Thank
I'm
you,
not
David.
judging anyone. Yeah,
Bro.
I'm not judging anyone by far by means, but there's no excuses, because I was a single mother, and I think that's what draws us together, because I put my child through college, HSBCU, and it was with cash money, and this was before I became a registered nurse. And I will tell the United States, you know, I'm in a master's program, but I got my GED. And then I got my associates, then I got my bachelor's, and now I'm on to becoming a nurse practitioner. But you know, we're better when we do it together. And like he said, there are programs out there where, to me, it's an insult to my people to want to do that, because there's so much grants. We was just in the car today talking about grants for opening business, for future endeavors, that, you know, you're more respected by people, and we will only be respected when we stop abusing the system. It's good to use it for a stepping stone, because I have people that have done it, but don't abuse it.
Got it.
So
well said. Thank you. Thank you. Can we move on just for time's sake, or Ma and Dad? You definitely chime in.
We can move on if you want.
Yeah.
I think that was perfectly said.
That was excellent. Yeah, we can definitely move on. But one little comment, I don't want to take long because of time's sake, like you said.
No. Go. It's fine. If you have something,
yeah. You know, as Ginger said, and her husband definitely put it on point of when it's needed, you do it, you know, which we all, a lot of, I could say 90% of us probably had to do it, or 80%, a high percentage.
Right.
So I know I did. And so, but the thing is that when Destiny and my son got old, I went to school too, and I got my GED, I got my and BA, the same here.
yes.
And I went and did things that I've always dreamed of doing, that I didn't think I could do coming out of the hood and coming out from where I came from, you know, working for BET Nightly News, working for a WWRL radio station, working for things, you know, that I'm like, I just put my talent to the test, and I just wanted to just, you know, things I've always dreamt of doing, you know, as could do it at an age of, I was in my 30s and 40s going after these things, and real estate agent and everything that I went for. God said, "Okay, you can do that too."
Awesome.
Like, okay,
Yes.
so for those that think it's over, it's never too late. As long as your heart is willing, as long as you're living and breathing, and you're willing to do something. And I'm still striving to this day. And I tell Destiny, she says, "Mom, your days are over.
Nah, what?
You're 61."
Yeah.
I said,
Days are never over.
she's like, "No, you can calm down. You didn't make." I said, "Please, I've seen people make it in their 60s and 70s and beyond. As long as you're willing and you're breathing, God's giving you breath, and you have that willingness, and you want to use them skills and talents. You don't know when He's gonna say, voila, you're blessed with this or that."
Yes.
So yeah, so yeah, you can definitely
Hey, that's the fountain.
soar, no matter how old you are, if you're willing. You have to have that willing heart to want to be diligent and persevere in your goals or dreams, that God put on your heart.
And well said. I love that you encourage people who come from where you come from to do it all, because you have graduated while I was in elementary school. You graduated from Marymount College. You majored in broadcast communications and landed all these jobs in different places like BT and radio. And look at the manifestation. Your daughter has her own platform that is essentially involved in communications. But I do have to respond to what you said, because this is a real conversation, and I keep telling you, I do not tell my mother and you, and I'm going to say it to everyone, that it's over. What I say is, now I'm at the age where you were thriving at BT and thriving at, these different WWRO radio stations, et cetera, et cetera. And now I'm in that mode you were in then. So because I have 3 children and it takes a village, fortunately, but unfortunately, you are my only village. I can only lean on you to help me. I can only lean on you to help me with these 3 babies. So we're going to keep it real, right? Yeah. You are the only one that helped me with the 3 babies. So I say, Ma, I know you still, like, everything you've done, to your point, God has handed to you. Oh, you went for your real estate license. You became a real estate agent, right? But, there's a lot of things that you've done in your life, and you're still doing things. But I'm like, Ma, look, I'm in my prime, like, knock on wood,
Oh, so you want her to be a nanny? Oh.
No, let me finish.
You ready?
Let me finish, Ginger.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
No, that was cute. But let me
Mom,
finish.
don't you sign up for
that was cute, but let me finish. That was cute, but let me finish. That was cute, but let me finish. I don't want her to be a nanny, because let's remember, if I make it, my mother makes it. Let's be very clear. If I make it, God forbid, God willing, like the beauty of Instagram and social media, the people who were born in 60s, 70s, and even the 80s, I'm still learning. We don't understand the power and the financial power that social media holds and sustains. So if people view this, if people share this, and I do this on a consistent basis, if people gravitate to my personality, I can get booked. This can be big. You know what I mean? So if I'm, and not only this, but other things that, that I'm striving to do, if I'm consistent with it, this can actually make a mark and create a foundation where my mother don't have to be a nanny. You see Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett and Gammy, right? Even Jada Pinkett, with all her money and her wealth, she needed her mom to work in the type of industry that she worked in. But now, years later, they're making money together. They're thriving together. They're putting their heads together, and flourishing, and Gammy has her own podcast, but essentially they're keeping it in the family. So what I try to explain to my mother, I know I don't want you to be a nanny because I take care of my children. Let's be very clear. Nannies is when, you know, they in the house with you. I take care of my children alone with the help of my significant other. But if I have a gig, if I have something that could put me on a higher pedestal, if she can help just understand the importance of it so that we can get to the next level, we're gonna do this together. Whatever I do and whatever I get and vice versa, whatever she do and whatever she get, I'm gonna benefit from it. So if I see her,
absolutely.
If I see her and she's at a place in her life where, you know, there's not anything actually growing and working, I'm like, Ma, look, let's work together. I need you for this and you need me for this. You scratch my back. My mother has had so many endeavors, Ginger. She won't say that part. She done had her own travel website. She done had her own travel website. I booked your sister. I booked Ma a trip to Vegas on a website through something that my mother was doing. I had my own travel website. Whatever my mother did, I jumped on board. I used to help her with her presentations to reel people in. Anything my mother did, I had her back 1000%. So now that I'm in it to win it, I'm like, Ma, I need you. You know what I mean? Not that I need you only to watch the kids, but if you're not doing anything at this time, it'll be helpful to help me prioritize so we can get this money.
And I have no problem with that at all. Actually, we're working on a project together.
Yeah, I got a schedule book for you. She can book you.
Yeah.
Destiny gonna get me.
Well, wait, but where's Daddy and David? Because we're live.
Guys,
Daddy and David, we are live, and people are.
I'm sorry.
Chiming. People are chiming
in,
and people are locked in. But I do want to say,
I ain't going nowhere.
I just want to say to wrap that up, that with that being said, African Americans, and this is a whole different conversation, we do have to start working together more as families, because every other ethnicity gets businesses off the ground. As you can see, especially in New York, where it's like a melting pot. Everybody else is thriving in business and owning houses and creating susus and creating generational wealth and social economics when it comes to families. So that's another thing that I asked my mom. I'm like, we have to just prioritize us, because a lot of times we get focused, all these outside people pulling you in. Oh, do this. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, and I'm doing that. But if you have a family that is trustworthy, especially immediate family, you, David and Ginger, if you guys, I know you had a podcast, y'all want to create a little couples podcast, and you can thrive. The more the merrier, and we just have to really start shifting our mindset when it comes to African American.
Absolutely, I agree.
One another.
I agree too.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Okay, if you can describe love in one word, how would you describe it?
Well, I don't got a word. I got maybe a phrase.
Daddy, let's try. Just one word, then you say the phrase. One word.
Okay. I'll pass. I'll go last. Let me think. Okay.
Unity.
Perfect. Love that. Unity.
If I had to describe it in one word,
everlasting.
Yes.
Love, everlasting.
Oh, what is the word? I have the word. Yeah, you go.
Compassion.
Passion. Wow, that was a good one.
Oh, the word.
I like that.
Unconditional. Unconditional.
Come on.
Come on.
My brain.
Let's put that in it. I'll put that in the chat. Unity. right? Everlasting, unconditional, and passion.
Compassion.
Compassion.
You think about Valentine's Day.
Either or.
She talk about passion.
Either or.
Or either or.
Compassion. Love it. Okay. Thank you, Ginger, for correcting that. Thank you.
Passion.
Now he like either or is good.
I mean, that's me.
Yeah.
You
both.
All right.
No.
So what has been the best part of being married thus far? Let's start with you, Ginger and David. What has been the best part of being married thus far?
Forever. Ever. Forever.
You can just
growing together. Completing our dreams together, because I write down things and I put it on the index card. Like, I believe in manifestation, so I write it down. So everything that we have said we were going to do, or we asked God to do for us, I could go back in my jar, and I have a jar in my kitchen, have accomplished it. So doing things together has been the best part. Like, I don't have to go on social media. We're homeowners. I don't have to put my house online. I get cars with bows on it in the driveway. I could go to school and study and be like, hey, I might need to step out of work for 2 days out the week, and my mate has my back. So vice versa. So it's just both together has been the best part. And it's not about material things, because they could be here today and gone tomorrow. It's just what we say we're going to do, and we put it together. That's the best part of my marriage.
I love that. Teamwork makes the dream work. I love that. Mom and Dad, what has been the best part being married thus far?
Oh, okay. The best part being married thus far is the security, knowing that somebody got your back no matter what. Marriage it gives you maturity. It's safe. It's the best thing that I could have ever done. It makes a girl a woman and a boy a man. Just want to say quickly, love is never having to say you're sorry. Also, love. All in love is fair. Because it's going to be good, bad, and different.
That's deep.
That's real. But like I said, marriage is the best thing that ever happened to me. It saved my life. And marriage is not only good for the people who are married, but for the children. Because you give them a blueprint and you let them know, like, hey, this is what you got to do. This is how it works. In America, there's an old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. We're in America, marriage it's American. That's how it works. And I'll tell you another thing too. I looked at my daughter and I looked at my son, and even though I wasn't ready before my wife was, but what made me ready was I had to show them what time it was, and not only that, I had to reconstruct my life. I was a career criminal, didn't think about a job.
I like that word, career criminal.
Yes, but I became a society. The thing that I regret is that I never got my higher education, but I changed my life 30 years ago. But honey, I never got a degree. Honey, never got a degree.
Here they go.
And you know what? That's okay. Because people could have 20,000 and still not be the person you are today.
True. Thank you. I had 1 second, honey. Let me focus. I had equivalent to an associate's degree, but that's not a degree. And I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but to the youth, what I tell them, you gotta get, you in America, you gotta get that degree. You have to. And in some cases you don't, but at least it's a security blanket. That's why I work as hard as I do, because I didn't go that way. But what I was able to do was work hard and allow my wife to get what I couldn't get. Teamwork.
I love that.
For 20 years. I wasted 20 good years, but we ate good. My daughter had what she needed and some of the things she wanted. And I'm a productive member of society today. I got a real job.
Mommy says she went to Catholic school.
So, the separation men.
She said, "My man."
And just to rewind real quickly, and I'm gonna shut up. We do what we got to do. Like the question came up about the system and all that. You know, we do what we got to do, and sometimes you cut corners, but the goal is to get to the finish line. To get to the
right, have an end goal
and do the right thing. That's
right. Have an end goal and do the right thing. I love that, Daddy. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. But I will say, Daddy, although you didn't have a degree.
Yeah.
My entire life, you were an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So before, like now, I think social media has really put the battery in the culture in regards to a lot of us, like Generation Zs, the kids growing up in the 90s are trying to become entrepreneurs. Yeah. But you were doing that in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, and you worked for yourself. You worked hard. You were respected throughout the community, and that's a lot to say, especially for someone who came from where you came from. You know what I mean? Experiencing and being wrapped up in mass incarceration, federal indictments. Yeah. You know, both of your fathers were killed and murdered when you guys were teenagers, coming from single homes, having my brother at 16. Like, you could have came home and you could have neglected us, but instead you got your life together and you worked for 20 hard years independently, selling goods throughout the community in Harlem. And you know, then you started selling books, and now you're doing what you're doing. So I just want you to give yourself a little bit more credit, because you've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. And people are just trying to get up off the ground and stop working for the man. So I definitely just want to, you know, give you your flowers and acknowledge that.
Thank you. It's interesting you said that. You know, people were saying in those 20 years, is he still selling drugs? Because I was doing so well. They thought I was still selling drugs. You know? That was just,
hey, yo, you can't get out the life, yo. It's good. Like, damn.
Who bought you Prada shoes and Gucci? What do you call it? Prada
look at my
jackets and what's those sweaters that were, you know what I mean?
Yes, I had during that time, I had the best. Ginger and David. During that time, he was working himself, selling like tapes and CDs. Before like digital era came into play, and a lot of Africans started like selling 2 for $5 CDs and cut his throat. Anyway, during that time, I did have the best. But as soon as I turned 18,
he was my best friend back then.
As soon as the sister turned 18, they were like, get it how you get it, Mom. They were like,
you need to do what you got to do, girl.
No, let me stop.
I mean, they taught you the tools to survive, so that's what's up.
That's right. So let's describe
okay.
They ain't told you
in your marriage. what were some of the tough name? We're not gonna, because again, for time, we've been on for a little over an hour. Thank you so much for your time. Just name one moment. What would you say has been the toughest moment in your marriage, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, I'll start. When our son, when our son,
remember, we are live. We are live.
Right. I understand that. When he was not in the best place in his life, and thank God he's doing excellent today. But when he was not in the best place in his life, my wife was thinking like a mother does, which is that's my baby and I don't care. And I'm going to enable him. And I was thinking like a father, which is that, you know what? Tough love. Until he can do what's right, tough love. And it almost destroyed our marriage. We actually were angry with each other and almost to the point of hating each other at times. So that was a very challenging time.
I'm about to get emotional.
At the end of the day, when the smoke cleared, opposites attract, and her view and my view, it all worked together. And now he's great and we're great. But that was a very, very challenging time in our life. Very challenging time.
And I think in retrospect, I also, if we're being honest, I remind you guys often that although I was young when it was happening, it affected me. Like in retrospect, it affected me. Like not in the moment, I didn't realize, and you guys may not have realized it affected me, but it affected me also. So it was rough for all of us.
Yeah.
It was rough for all of us, but I love you guys. I love you so much, and you guys did what you had to do, what you needed to do, and it was a learning experience. Ginger and David.
I would say learning to let David lead, because I was single and I was a single mom and I always had to do everything myself. I didn't allow him to be the person that he needs to be. And I always learning that trust, like he got it. He could take care of this household, and not saying he can't. I'm just saying me always women have a thing where we're so tough, especially African American women, and just learn to be submissive and listen and understand and trust, because my husband knew what it means to really be family and to have a family, and that he's not going nowhere. He's going to be here and he's going to be that support. So some of my toughest times was my job was really getting on my nerves real bad, and like they were really mean. I was a director and they were really mean to me, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. I was coming home every day crying, and he said, well, quit. And I was like, what? He was like, quit. And nobody has ever in my life did that for me. And I stayed home for 3 months, and I was always like, I was so scared. I was like, I didn't cook today. And he'd be like, it's okay. And I'd be like, I didn't clean up, I laid around. And he'd be like, it was because I had to learn. And then after I realized that it was okay, and he's like, take your time, get your mental right. I overcame it by listening, being patient, and learning to trust that he can do it. Let the man be the man. And women are always like, I could do it by myself. I don't need you. I don't. No, I need you. That's how I overcame it. I like it, not having to worry about certain things and giving it to God and giving it to my husband is amazing. I'm a fixer, and I learned that in therapy, and I don't have to fix everything and everything. I have somebody who completes me. That's what going to therapy, learning how to overcome, not trying to fix everything and everybody, that we're a team. So that was it for me.
I like that. That's wonderful. That's exactly
and it's true. I'm not ashamed. I love therapy.
Yes.
She do.
I do.
She do.
I'd be like,
There's nothing wrong
can't
with
wait to go.
Ginger, that's a perfect segue. What are some tools you lean on to strengthen the marriage?
Yeah.
You could go.
Doing the Sunny from Goodfellas. Doing the Sunny. So,
so you have to learn.
He got this one for me.
Constructive behavior. You know, I mean, you gonna display behavior that's violent. I mean, any means necessary. You just gonna be by you being a person, you're selfish. So you have to learn. It's like what your father said earlier. I had to learn to love the imperfections of my wife. Well, what that means is putting your feelings to the side and being concerned with your mates. Because going through therapy, I realized one thing, that I'm a very selfish individual. And yeah, I am. You know what I mean? I'm very selfish. Me and my wife could go through something, and I'd be like, yo, why is she getting on my nerves? Why is she pissing me off? Why? And every time I say something, it ends with me. Me. Instead of me trying to understand what she's going through. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if she's getting on my nerves, well, why don't I put my feelings to the side of her getting on my nerves and try to understand why she's getting on my nerves? Well, what's wrong? Do you need me to love you today? Do you need some attention? You know, do you need somebody to talk to? I mean, it's different ways to express different things. And this is why I learned in therapy, because at first I wasn't that person. I'd be like, yo, you getting on my nerves, leave me alone. I'm going outside smoking a cigarette. God damn it. You know, and that wasn't that was terrible behavior from what I learned. You know what I'm saying? I'm adding to the cycle. There it is. The psycho syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm adding to the psycho
It's called the psycho syndrome. Psychotic behavior.
Psychotic behavior. I'm adding to that because I'm displaying psychotic behavior. So I had to realize to stop and understand what my mate is going through. If you truly love someone and you truly care about somebody, you're going to care about when they hurt. And if you can't realize when your mate is hurting, then you need to reevaluate yourself, because maybe you're not the person you thought you were, and the person that you thought you just like. So that I'm loving and caring. Well, why can't I pick up that my wife needs that love? She needs that caringness. She needs all that nurturing. You know, so I had to step back and trust me, I'm still working on this shit. Don't get it twisted. I'm not perfect. I don't want to sound like I'm perfect. Like just the other night, I rolled over and my wife was like, "Leave me alone. I'm going to sleep," and she was mad. But the next day, I had to, because when I woke up, I realized what I did, and I was like, "Damn, that was wrong of me." Because at that time, she was hurting. She wanted me to talk to her, and I was so busy, hung up on, you know what, David would just want to go to sleep. So I don't care what you got to say. I'm going to bed, and that wasn't right. So it's a work in progress. So you got to understand your flaws too. You got to understand and admit to yourself sometimes that you're just selfish. As human beings are selfish. So we're going to want what we want. But you got to realize you can't put your wants in front of the person that you love. Because would you put your wants in front of your kids? You know what I mean? Like, I would never put my wants in front of my son. So if I love my wife like I love my child, then why the hell am I putting my wants in front of my wife? You know what I mean? Nah, hold up, step back. Babe, what's wrong? I mean, I need to understand, because I need love from you. And if you can't love me, then where we going with you? Where is it going? We both stuck.
Yeah. I love the idea of implementing therapy, because you can even tell, David, that you've been learning so much. You're using the terminology, psycho syndrome, and you're applying it to your conversation. And
trust me, it's
awesome.
Oh, we're advocates for therapy. We're advocates. It doesn't mean something's wrong. It means you want to do things right, and you want to understand the person that you're with. We advocates for that. People always think, oh, they in therapy, they going through it. No, we want to learn each other better. We want to know each other better. We want to know who hurt you, who did something to you that I'm paying for, that maybe we can work it out together. I'm an advocate for it.
Hey, the therapist don't always go my way. He don't always go her way. Every week is a difference, you know. But he to make us understand. I might explode. It's been a couple of sessions. I exploded. I got mad. I went back home to Jersey and was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna fuck." Excuse my language.
Censor.
I was taking it there.
That's right.
And stepped back. He was like, "David, calm down. What's going on?" And he was like, "Ginger, do you see the pain your husband is displaying?"
And I was like, "No."
But I mean, she looked at me, she understood. She rubbed my shoulders.
That's awesome, Daddy. You also advocate for therapy. You seek therapy 1-on-1, correct?
Yes, and me and Mom had a short stint together in therapy. But basically, thank God it wasn't chronic situation, so she really didn't have to stay. But she wasn't. Put it this way, she wasn't as sick as me. That's the bottom line. You know, that. And when I say sick, I'm exaggerating, but her emotional disorder was not as aggressive as mine.
Right.
Your mother's she's an angel. I'm telling you.
Oh,
no. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm talking about to a lot of our folks. Trust me. And so when I was 15 years old, 14, I was in the high school of fashion industries. You had to take a test to get in that school. It was highly regarded like Brooklyn Tech and Bronx High School of Science. To make a long story short, I was in the 9th grade and I took a chair and threw it out the window because there were some kids downstairs and I knew there was a spot where I could throw the chair where it would scare them. That's how stupid I was. Somebody told on me.
Hey, Granddaddy.
Hey, baby. Hey. I love you.
Hi.
You okay?
You too. Sorry.
Hi, Lana.
Quick intermission. Say hi. Can you do me a favor and put on Peppa Pig for your brothers? I'm almost done. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you because this is live. Big girl. Thank you.
Okay, let me get my little movie truck. What is it?
He has it. Anthony has it. I think Eric wants to say hi too. Say hi.
Eric Jr.
Hey,
Eric.
Hey, redhead.
He likes the camera. Anthony, you're next. Come. Okay, so sorry to interrupt. So Daddy, continue.
So someone told on me and they called me in the dean's office and they said 2 things. Either we call the police or we call your mother.
Because you threw the chair out the window?
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody flew on me and the dean said either we call your mother or we call the police. Called my mother, had a conference, and put me in therapy. I went to 2 or 3. That was my first step. But what happened was when I suffered with addiction, drug addiction, 30 years ago. And so I started going to a 12-step program. And there was a member in the 12-step program that talked about being in therapy and talked about his marriage being great and his career being great and how he triumphed through being in therapy. And that's when I got in therapy. And I got in therapy 30 years ago. And I've been going off and on since then. Matter of fact, I'm starting again next month. And what I learned about therapy is that you go, you stop when you think you don't need to go. Call it, what do we call it? That's the name that she said that you call it. Reality testing. So, you know, in the last 30 years, I've probably been in therapy at least a good 10 years. It saved my life, and it helped me to be the man I am today.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
And
But
Ma,
then,
you're
but
cool?
what I
Thank
do
you for sharing.
like, you know, as they so eloquently put it, and I commend you guys. A Ginger, and I'm sorry, what's your husband's name?
David.
David.
David. That y'all gonna be great. I could tell you're already great. That
Oh,
because
thank
it's
you.
work. Marriage is work, and people don't
Yes.
know that. People jump in and don't know that you go into another type of job because marriage is work. And and something that I really commend you, David, is putting your spouse before your own. That's how you survive in marriage. To me, that's how you survive, and that's biblical. And I don't know if you know that that's biblical. In Romans 11, it tells you that. Romans 11:18. Do not consider yourself to be superior to those of others, but but to put yourselves don't put yourself above others, but to put others above yourself.
Right.
So so that's biblical, and that's real love, because it's easy to do the self me. That's easy to do, but love, you have to be strong. You have to be a perseverer. You have to, go through some stuff. You got to go through, the test of time, in order to make it over the other side, to make it to a strong marriage, to, have a healthy marriage, so to speak. So it's not easy. It's recommended, but don't think, oh, it's that. Oh, lolly da, feeling, because it's all. Sometimes we jump in with just feelings, but it's really actions. Love is action, and marriage is action. The decision. Love is a decision. You can't just, for me, what I've learned is a decision, of course, a commitment, and work. So yeah, you guys are great. I'm learning, even at being together 47 years. We still got to be open for learning new stuff, and from your conversation, I've learned some things.
Yeah.
I love that 47 years. I love that longevity.
Y'all testament, like y'all inspiration right there.
I'm taking notes from y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, we
and I
love
agree with
talking
my wife. You guys are really, really in a great place.
All right.
And I've learned too from you guys as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we are all learning, and everyone who's
We learn-
listening is learning. Everyone who is viewing is learning. I appreciate your time so much. I'm literally have a few more questions. If it's too much, we can wrap now. Because I know you've been on here for.
No, you got me. I don't know about them, but
we enjoy you. We enjoying this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. It's good.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
It's all good.
There was a hiccup, so I had to situate the children. Not even a hiccup. I'm a mother of all trades, so I had to situate them. So we're back.
And you go.
If necessary, they can join the party.
And you did.
Join the party.
As far as my focus, you guys
exactly.
All right, so daddy and mommy, you don't have. This is a question you guys don't have to answer. Let's talk about sex in a marriage, and you could even put your little plugins in if you want. But let's discuss the importance of your partner's sexual needs for the viewers.
I'm gonna put it this way. The wife can say what she wants to say, but I will say this from the old school. What happens in this house stays in this house. Hey,
Wait.
hey,
David, let me
Hey,
tell you guys something, and all the viewers. I will say this much about my parents' life. I've never heard. All the years I've been in the house. What I left at 17. I went to college, and I came back after a year and a half, and I stayed another like almost 9 years. I've never heard anything. Thank God. So you guys, round of applause. I don't know how you did this. I know a lot of
we have to apologize.
Hey, but listen to this.
We gotta apologize to our kids.
But I tell you this, my mother used to tell us, listen, y'all gonna get worn out. If y'all, I never forget this.
You know what's great? You know what I want to answer?
She said, you better take it easy with my daughter as far as sexual, because she caught us.
My grandma.
She said, you gonna get worn out if you keep it up like that. She said, when you get older, you ain't gonna be able to do nothing.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't remember that. I believe it's true because we did live in your bedroom for a few years.
But you know what?
My mother's in my house.
Yeah, but you know,
when I was growing up.
But also too, getting back to what I said about what stays in this house. You know, like I told you, I'm a member of a 12-step program and saved my life. And you know, one of the things they say is that certain things you share with God, yourself, and another human being. Not everybody.
Yep.
So you know, but everybody.
And you know what I'm gonna
say? I say I don't care what the wife says.
When we was their age, just put it this way, we have a lot to say. But go ahead.
And I was young when y'all was at their age. So all right, David and Ginger.
My thing is that you can't always rely on that. You know, and I agree with your parents. I think that is a wonderful concept. What happens in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. It's a wonderful concept, but that's a component of marriage. But there may come a time where that component may not happen. Like there's people that I know as a nurse that get sick and can't, and sick for certain reasons and can't do that, like diabetes, hypertension, all those different things. So you have to learn that you have to learn how to make connection without everything being about sex or there's other ways to be intimate. Like when you learn your partner and you love your partner, intimacy is like, it could be a hug could be intimacy. That doesn't define, or that is not the end all or be all of a marriage. But what happens in the bedroom, stay in the bedroom. I can't talk about my bedroom because my husband is cute and I don't play them games. No, we're going in my bedroom, and we live, so I can't talk about this. But
she's on point. She's on point.
Yes, but the thing of it is that you know, just a simple.
That was a perfect gap. Sorry, I've been like multitasking over here. For me to basically give you the crown of the queen of segues, because that was my other question. How important is intimacy in a relationship? Because intimacy, and I even Googled the Wikipedia definition, is a close familiarity or friendship, a closeness that a lot of people in relationships lack. So how important is intimacy in relationships?
Yeah, she hit it right on point. She hit it right on point. Yeah, and that's the thing I love about her communication. That I'm gonna let you continue, Ginger. That you elaborate very eloquently about the fact that I laughed because me and my husband was just talking about hugs and last night he was talking about, you know, intimacy being hugs. We just talked about that last night, right? Intimacy being hugs and you know, affection, you know, which sometimes is bypassed right into sex, you know, and that means even more sometimes to a woman that is a hug and affection.
Yeah.
Then just because
Okay.
anybody could do the sex thing, but not everybody could do the hug and affection.
Right. Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes we riding down the road, David could just touch my hand. He'll hold my hand. That's a form of intimacy. Sometimes it's a certain conversation. That's a form of intimacy. Intimacy is not just about touching or being physical. It could be emotional. If he can hand me an issue because he know I'm about to cry, and that's an intimate moment for me. Like that's what intimacy is. Learning what intimacy is and getting to the that I don't have to sleep with you every day because we work hard. We work crazy hours. It's not always about a physical contact. Sometimes it's about we worked hard all week. Can I rub your feet? That's a form of intimacy.
Destiny know that too. We keep rubbing people in this house.
I'm a little spoiled. Mommy still rubs my feet. I'm just a little spoiled and blessed.
Yes.
All right, so let's get into name some qualities. Let's start with the men again. Name some qualities you admire about your partner. Daddy, let me start with you. Name some qualities you like about your partner. And I guess it's a two-part question. For in general, what do men like to see? What qualities do men like to see in women to make them a wife?
Well, you know, the thing that I'm blessed with is that your mom is a God-fearing woman.
But before she was God-fearing, right? Because
as I spoke about earlier, ride or die, loyal, had my back no matter what. There was a song by Natalie Cole that used to say, if I had a dime, I'd give you 9 and keep the penny. That's your mom. If you asked me to pack my bags and leave, I wouldn't care what my mama, what my daddy would say. I would go with you. Your mother has been so loyal to me in spite of her imperfection. I went to prison 3 times. 3 times. And when I came home, my wife was here and I had a home to come to. First time I went to jail 3 years. Second time I went to jail a year and a half. And the last time I only had like 2 months left. But each time, and I'll never forget when I came home, that 60, when I did that last 60 days, that was the last parole I had left on my federal sentence. I went straight, I had on my jail pants, and I came straight to Nudi's house, which was the babysitter. Destiny, you were about, hold up, that was in 1988. So you were about 1 year old. And I came and got you, and you saw me and gave me a hug. And that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced in my life. You know, but I say all that to say, your mom has just been loyal. In spite of the fact that we hate each other many times, we said we wanted to pull the plug on this. You know, but marriage is till death do us part, in sickness and in health, no matter what, ride or die. But you know what's going to happen? I'm going to say this and shut up. The day that I or your mother's not here, because one of us got to go first, and we're getting older now, that's going to be a sad day for the one who's left. It's going to be a sad day. But I'll tell you this, I'll sacrifice and say, I hope I go.
I feel them. I'm scared, and me too. I'm scared. I don't want to be lost.
David, you next. What do you admire? What do you admire about your wife, and what are some qualities that you would give single men that you look for, men in general look for when they're finding a wife? What are some qualities in a woman?
Well, I love everything about my wife. You know, I'm gonna be honest. You know,
guys prepared for this.
like no, because the reason why I say that, and I'm able to say that now is because she fits me. So the one thing I could tell a man is find a woman that's going to fit you. You know what I'm saying? Not every woman is going to always fit what you need, and that's good or bad because a woman's going to tell you when you need to tighten up. You know what I'm saying? And you may not want to hear it, but it's for your own benefit. So you got to find that person that fits you, that connects with you, that knows how to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes it right. And that's what you'll know. Because when you get married to that person that benefits and makes you stronger, you're gonna see nothing but blessings. Like ever since I've been married, I tell anybody, a lot of young people ask me like, yo, you just got married, you know what I mean? You've been married 4 years, man. What is it? And I've been like, yo, I've been blessed. Ever since I said I do, everything that I had has came to fruition. So, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean any woman I say I do to is going to happen like that. No, that meant that the woman I found fit me. She knew what I needed, even when I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? When I want that kicking ass, yo, get your ass up. You know, let's go.
Right.
What do you do? Tighten up.
Oh, gingerbread.
I need that. And they get me back in focus. So just find out, know yourself, know who you are, and you'll be able to find a person that fits you.
Got it. I love
That's
that.
the best I can give you.
Everyone is definitely that reminds me of a scripture that a wife is made from a man's rib. So essentially, you got to find someone who matches what God created for you. You know what I mean?
But
You know, I
you got to
remember.
know who you are first.
That's so
You
true.
got no. Go ahead, mom. I'm listening.
No, I
need that
remember
knowledge.
to your point. No, I remember going to we went to a marriage retreat, and we have a someone member of the church is a marriage counselor. So he taught one of the classes, and he said that he believed God, put those people that needed to be together, that was so opposite of each other, to learn from one another, to like if my husband has those strong qualities or whatever, and maybe I have a gentleness that he needed to learn, some of my gentleness, and I needed to learn some of his sternness, so to put us together like that, and that always stuck with me, to remember that some things I can learn from him, even though I'm not like him, and some things he can learn from me, and that in years we learning from each other, as I said earlier, keep us together as a balance. But everybody, like you said, everybody's not for everybody, but if you learn to love, like my husband said early on, the things that you don't like about your spouse, your mate, and you learn to understand that that's who they are, and and hopefully that you'll wind up working it out, so it can work for both.
Yes.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
And that's what it's all about. Learn to understand your mate and learn to understand yourself. Because like you can't understand the other person if you don't understand who you are. And that's the biggest key component. You know what I'm saying? Because how can I tell my wife to understand me? I don't even understand myself. Like if you're a person that loves your mate, but you're a obituary cheater, like you cheat 24/7, then you got to question yourself, like, well, why do I cheat? If I have a loving wife at home who's willing to give me everything that I need, emotionally, physically, you know what I'm saying, that I ask for, then why I need to go chase that? So you need to understand what type of person you are. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't understand who you are, how can you love that other person? You would never know that you hurt that other person because you're too caught up in yourself.
Right, and yeah, he also said you have to have that listening ear. That a lot of men, he was saying that they don't listen. That sometimes we just gotta listen, and when we listen, we can hear the heart. The heart speaks out of the heart of out of the words of your mouth, your heart speaks. So sometimes we just got to have that listening ear to understand our mate, to really, because sometimes we speak and we talk to each other that disrespectfully, where the next, you can't even finish your sentence before the next person won't think his point is more important than yours. So he gonna say, or she gonna say, something before and interrupt your sentence before you could finish. So sometimes you just got to have that respect to listen to what the mate is saying. And if we would listen to the whole point or sentence, then we would know. Sometimes we think that, oh, I know you was going to say that before you said it, and it may not be that at all. So sometimes you just got to have that.
That's true. That's true.
Just enough to hear the whole point or the whole sentence, and then our mind could shift where, oh, I thought you was gonna say something else, but you didn't say that. So then you have the right response to kill the the pre-argument before it starts.
I think that's also, you guys are like hitting the nail on the head with these segues. Earlier I was like cleaning off a stain that Anthony made, or one of the kids made, on like my freshly painted walls, and the analogy popped up in my mind. And after a while, specifically in the kitchen, I don't know if you guys ever entered a kitchen that's have a lot of like grease stains on the walls. If you don't wipe those stains off as soon as it happens, it'll accumulate. And after it accumulates, it's almost impossible or hard to get off. So you can apply that same analogy to relationships, right? So how do you guys communicate to avoid like long-term toxicity, to avoid those stains being unremovable? How do you guys deal with that? Like, I know a lot of couples say, oh, we make sure we don't go to bed mad at one another. That's one example. So how do you communicate to toxicity?
Well, you just took one of the things right out. What I was going to say is that I learned this years ago, do not go to bed without resolving it. Do not go to bed without resolving it. But, there was and like I said, a lot of things I've learned I just didn't know, and I picked it up and took it and used it in my own personal life. There was a guy who said he was arguing with his wife and they were cursing each other out, and he just got on his knees and started praying. And that stopped it right there, stopped it right there in tracks. But also too, marriage is an intricate thing. It's very intricate, very complicated, but it's really simple if you apply. And once again, not to be religious, but I was just going to say this: having God in your life is, the Bible says, basic instructions before leaving earth. That really, if you keep God in it, and also too, one of the things I've learned too is that when something goes wrong and you look at it, all you got to do is say, hey, honey, I apologize. I didn't know you felt that way. Was wrong, promptly admit it. I know how to say that now. I was wrong. I apologize. And also, too, I got to know when to shut up. I got to know when to keep my mouth shut and say to myself, okay, she will feel better, or I will feel better, and just silence, just be quiet. Okay. I know my wife long enough to know. I just need to know, just chill out and let her breathe. Let her do what she got to do. And that's not easy, especially coming from, being a man, or I'm in control and this, that, and the other, but it don't work like that. It's a two-way street.
Okay. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to, just for the time's sake, and this is my first time going live, to make sure that this thing streams and saves successfully. I had, I believe, one more question. I think we're still on. Love you too. And I'm going to be looking for this every month. One of my family members in the live said they're going to be looking for these conversations on a monthly basis. Let's just end it with social media. I love that we have two couples from two different generations. So I'll frame the question this way, and you can start, Ginger and David. How does social media affect your relationship, or does it affect your relationship? Do you have rules for social media? And we're going to keep it to like a 1-minute answer. And then mommy and dad, if social media was in fact existed in the 70s through the 90s, do you think that it would have impacted your relationship positively or negatively? Let's start. I'm going to give you a minute, David and Ginger.
Social media, yeah, definitely affects your relationship. I'm gonna definitely say that. I mean, because I feel like if you're in a relationship, marriage, if you don't have a joint page, don't have a page at all. All right? Because once you commit to each other, separate pages is a done deal. Because separate pages show that it leaves for extra. You know what I'm saying? You don't want your man or your wife feeling insecure about who's around the corner lurking and they can't even see that person. It was back in the day, you could see that person coming at a party or something like that. But when you got somebody on the rain, with her. But when you got somebody that's creeping in the back door, they got the number without even having a conversation, saying hello. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard. It's like having a spy in your backyard. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like once you make that commitment as far as marriage, then it should be a joint page. If you really want family and everybody to see what you're doing, then y'all should join your unity and make a joint page. My wife has a social media page. I don't. I got rid of mine a long time ago.
The real men,
and I keep it for what it's called.
The real men don't have social media, David. You good? Real men don't have social media. Real husbands don't have social media. You're good. No. All right. So to give Ginger, you had something to say? I'm sorry.
No. I mean, social media it's a false. I use it now for school and for platforms like that, but it's all people portraying. It's what it's called, social media. The media puts on. It's media. It shouldn't have anything to do with your relationship. And, if any day my partner wants to have a joint page, I'm for it because, hey, I have nothing. There's no limitation what I have. What I have joint. We're joint. So that's fine.
I have no desire to have one.
Yeah.
So
I think the idea of joint pages is bomb. Like, first of all, you guys need to present that to someone to get that done. That doesn't exist. Joint pages, as far as what I know, that exists. But
we ain't experts. We're not experts.
Yeah, but you guys definitely need to and make invent that or innovate that. But the idea of transparency, I think, should be a conversation for couples. Like, as long as you have social media, be transparent, because to David's point, you have the people lurking. So to give mommy and daddy, to give you some context, sending a simple message to someone when you're in a relationship, or AKA sliding in their DMs, could be deemed as sneaky and disrespectful, but sometimes it could be innocent. So you don't know how to differentiate or decipher. Like, there's a lot of politics involved. And every couple has their own rules, you know, when it comes to social media and using it. But when you were, do you think that mommy would have been able to have a social media back in the 70s, 80s, if somebody could just slide on her DM?
Talking about me?
Yeah.
Talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard that slide DM many times, and we'll always hear it. I say that's the sneaky part of it. You know, for real. I hear them talking about it. I drive for a living in the back seat. You know what I mean? But you know, if it was social media back in our time, I probably would have got 90 years in jail and been dead. Because you know, people put everything on
Yeah.
social media. You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
But I think, like, I agree with David. You know, y'all should have the same page. I put a fake name and went on Facebook about 5 years ago. Instead of my last name, I changed my last name. And I used to spy. I used to go and watch other people's pages, and I said, these folks is crazy. Then I hurry up and got the hell off of there because it seemed like somebody hacked mine. But I think that it's important to them to have it. I wish that my computer skills were good and I like what David said. You know, me and my wife, we need to try to have it, or maybe it just be like you say that you don't know how it should be, but maybe she can have a page and then put my name in it, or I can have a page and put her name in it. You know what I mean? But I think it's good to have. I believe it's good to have, but it's got to be legit and within honesty in reference to marriage.
It's gonna be a whole nother podcast. It's gonna be a whole nother platform.
What I wanted to say was, I remember when it first came out, Facebook, right? I was in media, I was in radio. LinkedIn first came out, and the girl came in Facebook. She came to my desk, hey, we got to get on. This is new media going on. Blah, 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 blah. So I did join. I think I was on there for a hot, week, a month, maybe the most. Tony was like, what is that? Who's that person that's saying hi to you? Get off of that thing. I hear that those are perverts on that. He was, I don't know. How you get off of that? You got to get off. Unsign yourself. I hear perverts are on there. It was like so foreign to him. I had to get off of social media because he heard his friend told him from old school that it was perverts on there. That it was perverts. Who's that saying hi to you? I hear they I was like, oh my goodness. So I did get but you know what? You can't get off of it, because when I look years later, I still was on there, and I was like, "Oh,
it's difficult. They make it difficult, but I learned how to delete myself."
Okay, but here's the thing: I saw when Destini tried to get me back on to do my book, advertising my book. I said, I don't want to do that, because he said that's the only way you got to do it is social media. And so I said, but I ain't been on there in 15 years. I don't want to go on there to do that. But long story short, I realized I saw some people and stuff, and I saw like people from my church and stuff, and they had their Facebook page with the face of them and their husbands. You know, so that made me think, oh, it's both of theirs. So I think it's just a picture that differentiates you from your page from a single page is a picture of you and your husband, a couple. That's the only thing I think it is.
So you, to David's point and to your point, social media, I believe, is created for one person to own like an account, right? An individual account. But if you wanted to create a group, you can have like a Facebook group and like include you and daddy and have conversations about marriage, or YouTube, if you wanted to create a platform including you and daddy, like you would have to do it in a group, you know, as a group effort, if that makes sense. So David, now that I'm thinking about it, you guys can make a group page, but again, it'll be acknowledged as a group. It won't be acknowledged as an individual account.
It won't be acknowledged as a couple.
As an individual account, you would have to name the group, which would be Tony and Fifi's page. You know what I mean? And you may not have.
Yeah, you always have one page.
Right. Or YouTube, you can create a channel. You can create a YouTube channel, Ginger and David's Experience, right? Because it's a channel. It's not a designated account. So for Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you have to put in your name, your date of birth, your email, because it's designated to you. But if you want to create something that has more than one person, you would have to go the group route on Facebook, or it would have to be like, a business page, like Play Your Cards Right is a business page. So if I had other owners, co-owners, then I could add them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you should come online and teach this stuff to people like us that don't know.
I'm still learning. All right.
And even though y'all know this, one of the things
we appreciate you.
Social media is that people be blocking each other and people be fighting amongst each other and carrying on. It's crazy.
No, that's great. That's a great point, because
it's not healthy.
Right. There's a scripture, I believe there's a scripture that basically says, you can use things for good and not always use that for good, and there's a social media documentary on Netflix. Like, this thing can be addictive. And there's young people who are growing up, the Generation Z, who are growing up in the 90s, are suicidal, they're depressed, because they're trying to keep up with images they see on social media. It can be very straining. It can be very detrimental to your health. But that's the bad part, right? But the good part is, if you're a business owner who's trying to market your brand, if you're an artist who's trying to market your music, like, depending on what industry you're in, it can help you flourish. It can help you thrive. It can help you monetize. So it's different levels and layers when it comes to social media. So for me, I always tell people I'm on here to educate, inform, and inspire. The people I follow are educators. They inspire me or they empower me. And my job as a God-fearing woman and as a child of God is to help inspire and educate and empower and encourage people. So if you're going to be on social media, that should be your goal. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes I get caught up in the drama and the mess. But my profession, I have an end goal, and there's a tunnel vision. So with that being said, please subscribe to Play Your Cards Right. The power of social media is controlled by likes, shares, views, comments, and traffic. So please share my content. Everyone who's watching this, family and friends who are involved, please share my content to help the brand get to the next level. So that means that you just share YouTube, tell them to subscribe. Anything I'm posting, just knowing I'm doing it to expand the brand. And in closing, if you guys want to give any marriage advice, if you guys want to say a scripture about love, because love has been the common denominator, a part of this conversation, and if we want to say describe love in one word, I put it in action, mommy, as you mentioned. We can do that in closing.
Okay. If y'all have something to say first.
Yep. So just again, marriage advice to people, and anything you want to say to end it.
Just thank you. We appreciate you for having us on, and we definitely love you, and we will share. And we love this positivity. Just be words of encouragement is just be honest, be truthful, respect each other, communicate and support each other. And there's no rule book. It's a learning experience every day. A fairy tale. It's not a game. Just, it's a learning lesson. And once you take those vows seriously and keep your home life private. Privacy is the number one thing. And life is better when you just, when you communicate with your partner.
Yes.
Well put, Ginger.
Yes, she put it so. Like I said, I love her. She said a lot of things I wanted to say. So I'll be simple with mine. 3 things I learned from people that were together longer than me, 50 years together, and they said they go by 3 things, and I try to take their advice. And one of them is what we spoke about earlier on, which is try to work things out and don't go to bed angry, which is the famous saying for most people. And then the second one was be 2 forgiving people, not just one. One can't do it alone. You have to be 2 forgiving people in order for it to make it work. And then the last thing they said was just 2 words that were powerful. I was like, what is those 2 words when I was listening? And it's just 2 words. You know what those 2 words were, darling?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Yes, dear.
Say it loud. You gotta see it.
I don't think they understood where you were coming from. I don't think
No, I understand, Daddy. Repeat it.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yes, dear. So y'all was supposed to laugh.
I didn't hear you. Yes, dear.
He said it like
Yes, we've heard that before.
Yes,
You were at a marriage, what was it? A marriage council.
A retreat.
No.
No.
Wedding.
But we were at a wedding, and there was a couple there that had been married over 50 years. So the minister said, "How did you guys do it? How did you guys do it? Stay happily married 50 years." And the husband said 2 words. And the pastor said, "Well, what 2 words is it?" And he said, "Yes, dear." And that's the truth. That's the honest.
That's real. That's real, though. That's real.
I love it.
One,
That is real.
by the time she gets through with you, you'll be blues. Because you cannot beat a woman in a verbal argument. She will tear you apart.
Yeah.
The best thing for you to do is just say, "Yes, dear." And I just said that earlier.
Yeah.
I see it's going tough and it's going rough. Yes, dear. You got it. I don't want what they say. It's nothing like a woman scorned.
Right. Daddy, that's perfect. Yes. Let's all say that at 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, dear.
Yes, dear.
In closing,
Yes,
I'll leave you and the viewers with this scripture, 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It also protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. And where there is knowledge, it will pass away. I love you guys to the end of this earth. Ginger,
love you too.
You get a shout out. You was the first person on my Instagram live and the first person on my Facebook and YouTube streaming live. So you hold a special place in my heart. David, keep taking care of her. My mother and father, I'd be nothing without you. I love you guys to the end of this earth, and I appreciate your time.
Love you. You did
we
a wonderful job.
Yes. Love you too, Jasmine.
We're gonna have to keep in contact with your parents. We're gonna keep in contact with your parents without you.
Yes. Link up. Yes. You always are. Sure.
And you know what, Ginger? It's funny that she's doing this and she doesn't even know what I'm doing Thursday. I'm doing in my women's Bible talk. We're doing the fruits of the spirit, and every week each woman is going to preach on a different spirit, fruit of the spirit. There's love, peace, patience, goodness, faithfulness, kindness, gentleness, and self-control. Right. So mine is this Thursday, and I'm doing it on love. And she didn't know that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why are you stealing my stuff? I'm gonna invite, and that's one of the things that what you ended off with, love, that I'm gonna elaborate on that scripture too.
Yes, okay, send the information, Destini. Send us that information.
For sure.
Yeah, the Zoom link.
Thank you. Let your next move be your best move.
All right, thank you.
Let your next move be your best move. Follow, play your cards right. I love you guys. I'm out. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Love you.
Bye.
Love you more. Bye-bye. Nice meeting you guys. We got to stay in touch.
It was a wonderful ride. Thank you.
And that was the first, but not the last. Starring Ginger Ray, David, Althea, and Tony, which are my parents. My heart is full. I love you guys. Oh my God, my heart is full. I pray it went through successfully. I pray because I've seen something on this end. But you know what? God's going to work it all out. Let your next move be your best move. Follow Play Your Cards Right. That's Play Your Cards Right _ on Instagram. Follow the YouTube page, Play Your Cards Right. And follow me personally. I am your Destiny. IAMURDESTINI on Instagram. Let your next move be your best move. And happy Sunday. Enjoy. Say bye, Lana.
Bye.
My princess. Give me a kiss. Thank you for being patient. Bye-bye.
You're welcome, Mommy. Happy Valentine.
Happy